You join us this week at the BBC Food and Farming Awards, now in its 25th year, and we've come home to the city where the food programme is based, Bristol. Before we get on to the awards celebration, the shortlists and the winners, we thought we'd take a moment to reflect on where we are and the city's rich food culture, past and present. People travel to this city to eat. They live here because it's a great place to eat well, and you only have to stroll across the street from where the awards are being held to understand what that means. Well, I'm at the docks in the centre of Bristol, and for centuries this has been the place where this seafaring city made its riches, trading sugar, olive oil, spices, cocoa, rum, wine, and much more. Though the wealth here was also driven by slavery, a fact that was brought dramatically to light in 2020 when the statue of Bristol MP, philanthropist, merchant and slaver Edward Colston was toppled from its plinth and rolled into the harbour. The statue now lies in the museum, the M Shed, the venue for tonight's BBC Food and Farming Awards. We're in Wapping Wharf, where dozens of shipping containers are massed, not ready for shipping, but providing homes to a pretty wild collection of bars and delis, coffee shops and restaurants. I mean, just here it's herbivore, loki pokey, salted malt. I need a guide to this place, and I have a group of them here. Well, actually, one particular guide. Miguel Alzugaray runs food tours of Bristol. You may have heard him on the programme we made about food tours a couple of months ago. And he used to manage a pizza restaurant here. What's your explanation of why Bristol has become this food centre? I mean, it's extraordinary. I mean, it almost outstrips London.
I think it's the variety of foods that you can find. The thing that I can kind of link to it is the fact that there's two main universities in Bristol. So we've got people who are moving to Bristol from other countries, falling in love with the city and then sticking around. 5-10 years later, opening up their own food business, serving authentic food from wherever they're from. Also with me are two restaurateurs from Wapping Wharf, Georgia Hussey from Loki Pokey, when we're sitting right outside, and which says it serves honest, healthy bowl food, and Chris from the Pancake Man, which is just there. You know, you've heard what Miguel said. What is it that drew you two here?
So we decided to choose Wapping Wharf. It's very trendy. A lot of people live here, work here, pass through here on their way to work in the morning. And yeah, it's just a very vibrant community.
In the summer, it's so busy down here, and it's a real hub because people come down to the water and they'll sit by the water and they'll have their food and they'll go, to one of the bars. And it was a really great step for us 5 years ago, and we've ended up staying here just because it works really well.
What about this food swap scheme that you have? Explain that. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely thing we have with the food businesses down here, where essentially we'll feed each other. It's an amazing perk because there are so many amazing food businesses. It's amazing to be able to try everyone's food. It sort of works slightly on an honour system. Yeah, you'll go to a business and say, do you want lunch today? Can I have a pizza? Can I have a pancake? They'll say, yeah, sure. And then either you'll, take them their food straight away or bring it later, or they'll come by. But yeah, essentially sort of swapping food to feed each other and their teams. It's a really nice perk of being down here.
Must keep standards up.
I mean, I think working in hospitality can be quite hard sometimes. So it's amazing to have some really nice perks and try lovely food and get to know your neighbours a bit.
It's a nice opportunity to have different restaurants offering breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you really don't have to pay for it. You just swap for food.
I've never heard of this kind of food sharing before.
It happens on smaller scales between certain restaurants if you're quite close together, but never on this level that I've seen at Wapping Wharf, just because everything is quite intimate and interconnected.
Chris, Georgia, and Miguel on their food sharing scheme, bringing people together. An ambition at the very heart of these awards. And across the road, inside the M Shed Museum, our guests from all over the country were gathering for the ceremony.
Win or lose, it's just a pleasure to be nominated, and we're having a lovely time in Bristol.
It's kind of the Booker Prize, I guess, or something like that, isn't it?
It's kind of what?
It's kind of the Booker Prize, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no,
BBC Food and Farming Award.
I've seen the movers and the shakers here today, and there's some people that can be real sort of instruments of change.
Oh,
Oh, it's very swish, isn't it? It's absolutely lovely. What an opportunity. I mean, obviously in our weekly sort of volunteering duties, we don't get to dress up. And so it's such a lovely honour.
It's a great celebration of food and farming, and it is important that in the southwest we keep it on the map here in Bristol, and I think we're really proud of that. There's so many good food producers around us, so it's important to celebrate them.
They're fantastic. I like the way it's the normal people. It's not just people doing things that you need a hell of a lot of money to achieve. It's just about going back to ground roots, back to basics, and like farming properly and producing great food.
I'm Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. I'm the head judge of the BBC Food and Farming Awards for the second year in a row. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but I'm very glad it did because I've had an absolutely amazing time. This year, we've just had a staggeringly high level of nominations. And the category that I got particularly involved with, Best Food Producer, was just distressingly hard for me and Sheila. We weren't the only judges who struggled this year. Everybody's found it really, really hard, but also exciting to have such great innovators, such great producers, such inspiring people spreading the word about the importance of good food and food communities. That's what the Food and Farming Awards are all about, and we've had it this year in absolute spades.
Ladies and gentlemen, cooks and farmers and food lovers, welcome to the land of balloons, Banksy and Brunel, Bristol, for the BBC Food and Farming Awards 2025. I'm Joe Sims, the presenter of The Breakfast Show on BBC Radio Bristol, and I will be your guide for this evening's awards. Now sit back and prepare to celebrate the very best of British food and drink and the people who produce it.
And with that, we were underway. Our first category was Best Food Producer, which both Hugh and I judged. And we found, trying to separate our three finalists, a baker, a cheesemaker, and a grower of veg, fruit and flowers, to be an almost impossible task. Here's a reminder of who was in the running.
Hi, my name's Kathy Swinsko.
And I'm Andy.
And we have the Courtyard Dairy near Settle in North Yorkshire.
What we try and do is champion and support traditional farmhouse British cheese. We sell it, we make it, we work with little farms, we have a little museum. We're just crazy about it, really.
I'm Aidan Monks.
And I'm Catherine Connor.
And we are Lovingly Artisan Bakery. We're trying to join the dots from soil to field to grain to mill to bread to table. Everything used all the way through in the most genuine way.
To be here in itself is an award. We want to be a beacon of light for other bakers. So if this inspires others, I think we'll have achieved something.
My name is Calixta Calland and I am the founder of Flourish Produce. So Flourish Produce is an organic regenerative farm in Cambridgeshire. We do 750 different varieties of vegetables, herbs and salads, cut flowers, heritage grains, and some fruit as well. One of the things about having so many different things growing together is that there will always be something that is happy or happier. Through the work we're doing, we're exploring water and nutrition in produce and the idea of climate adaptive varieties.
There wasn't a rocket leaf between them, and we were very tempted to make them all winners.
But we were very much not allowed to do that. All three of these finalists are producing incredible food with amazing entrepreneurial spirit, and they're sharing their information with fellow producers. All this helps build secure and resilient regional food systems that we desperately need, and we found that very exciting.
The fact is, there had to be a winner. And it's in an area of the food system that needs more love and attention. And we were blown away by the variety and quality of what they were growing. And the winner is...
Flourish Produce.
With Flourish's founder, Calixta, being away, her brother, Freddie Callender, stepped in to accept the award, the coveted food programme chopping board. Hugh and I caught up with him and the other shortlisted nominees off stage. Well, here we are with the three finalists from the Best Producer category.
How are you all doing?
Very good. Such a delightful evening to be here with everybody. Just all of the stories and the people we've watched across the board. Just to be part of this is so much in itself.
It makes you feel positive, doesn't it, really, about the future of food.
Well, you all really did actually thoroughly deserve to win. Flourish, you did win. How's it feeling?
I think we're all still quite speechless. Didn't expect it at all. Obviously, Glixter can't join us today, and she's been sending some very strange messages to us about how the fact she's bursting into tears, even though she's hundreds of miles away. We are so glad to have won.
That's great to hear.
You said on stage that it was an area of food production that needed some love and support. It's so central to how we eat, and yet it's so ignored. What do you make of that?
We are what we eat, fundamentally. And if you look across the whole of society, we are unfortunately having an aging population, and there are so many illnesses and difficulties that people are now facing and the NHS is trying to deal with that are all coming from inactive lifestyles and really their diet. And we need to get diversity back into people's homes so they can feed their bodies with the micronutrients and the food that we really need to survive.
It's interesting, isn't it, that the what's happening in the NHS is hardly ever out of the news, the crisis it's facing, the long waiting lists, and yet the simplest solution for good health to try and get the nation eating a good, varied, healthy diet is barely ever talked about. Kathy, what do you think about that issue?
Aidan and I talk about this all the time, that, one of our mantras is to put bread at the centre of the table. And like yourself and, so many of us sat around this table, we passionately believe that you could eat yourself well. We work with ancient grains. Our grains are grown, as you know, in Penrith and the northeast. We try and grow every grain pesticide-free. We have no chemicals added to any of the processes. And for us, we really believe that when you look at how sick and how poorly old generations are, obesity is often talked about, and I know Aidan feels, and the whole team, that we could eat ourselves well just by having a balanced diet. And I think that's something that we just need to get noisier about.
Andy, I was going to say that when Hugh and I were there, you said people can afford to buy, a pound of good cheese, that you yourself can't afford a Rolls Royce or, a private jet, but you can afford, small amounts of good food. And what was obvious to us from the shop was that you have a very economically mixed customer base.
That's what I love about our shop, is that, even though we try and sell the best quality cheese in the UK, but our people who come through our door are such a wide variety of people, and I absolutely love that. I think that's testament to the cheesemongers who work in our shop and the fact that we've actually tried to connect to our community. And I think that is key more than anything, is that we can sit here and talk about food and we talk about amazing food, but if you can connect that food to your community, you can then get the average person, the average Joe coming into your shop, and then they taste it and then their eyes light up. And it's just getting them to step over that barrier that first time. And then hopefully you can connect with them and connect them to food. And I think that food is not just a produce, no matter how it's good for you, but the best experiences of most people's lives around a table, whether it's with your family at Christmas Day or whether it's in an amazing restaurant. And that is where it comes from. And we can be serving amazing food. We just need to get people to step over the door for the first time.
And actually, there's a daily opportunity to have that amazing experience with your family. For most of us, we can do it if we choose to, but often we choose not to. But you mentioned community, and that is indeed the common thread. Community and local networks, it's the common thread that made our decision so hard, because it's something you're all doing in such an inspiring way.
Thank you.
But horticulture, the fruit and veg, is under particular pressure because, just after we'd been to Flourish, I went into one of the big supermarkets, and it was the height of the growing season in the UK, and there was green beans, which could easily have been grown anywhere in the UK, and they were from Africa, and they were £1.20 for a 300-gram pack. You are battling a global market in a way that Aidan and Catherine and Andy are not.
Yes, there is enormous competition, but I think people are starting to understand more that we're actually trying to sell different products. One of the things that we do again in our little shop is we will go and buy some cherry tomatoes from a major supermarket, and we have some of our own. And every single person that tries our own cherry tomatoes says it's like a completely different product. It's a completely different experience. And that's before you start talking about the nutritional value of things. Unfortunately, what we now see as conventional farming methods across the board, including with cereal growing, the nutritional value of what is in the product is just falling off a cliff. And that's not being talked about enough.
You mentioned nutrient density there and also the flavour. And is it fair to say that these two things are inextricably linked, and that intensity of flavour and aroma is a pretty good indicator of density of nutrients and quality of produce?
Absolutely. And we're lucky to have worked with people at the University of Cambridge to explore that. And we really need to start making changes. But customers are waking up to it because they like to eat well.
Unbelievable. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
And you can hear more from those remarkable food producers, recordings we made in Cumbria, Cambridgeshire and Yorkshire in a food programme broadcast in October called Feeding Britain. It's available on BBC Sounds. You'll also find on there an episode by my colleague Dan Saladino about our 3 food innovation finalists. Choco Larder, a Cornish firm that uses ingredients otherwise destined to become food waste in their supremely good chocolate. Martin Crawford, an expert in agroforestry from Devon who cultivates food forests. And Disco Scallops from Dorset. Over to you, Dan.
There is so much innovation, so much energy and ideas out there, and our 3 finalists all represent that energy. But there is just one winner to announce.
Yeah. So the winner is Disco Scallops.
The Disco Scallop project, operating in Lyme Bay on the Dorset coast, came out of an accidental discovery that these delicious and highly desirable bivalves are attracted to light. Over to Robert Enever of Fishtech, the developer of this new system.
It's a mesh-covered pot, and the bait used in this is actually light instead of bait. And that is the thing that we've realised and we've discovered, is that you can actually attract scallops to swim into crab pots if you put a light inside it.
Now, you say it's bizarre. Why?
It's bizarre because no one's discovered this before. Like fishing using light dates back to biblical times, but for some reason no one's connected light with scallops, and we found it just purely by accident. Every time you hauled a pot with a light, you'd have scallops in the pots, and every time you hauled a pot without a light, there were no scallops at all. The most we've ever seen in a pot that was recorded by a fisherman was 200 scallops in one pot, so absolutely economically viable to these people.
The reason this innovation is so important is that an alternative way of bringing up scallops, dredging the seabed with heavy machinery, is highly destructive. It can bring up huge numbers of scallops, but has a negative impact on marine biodiversity.
I'm Mark Duffy. I am the Principal Advisor for Fisheries in the Greener Farming and Fisheries team within Natural England. The dredge itself is a very heavy steel rectangular frame with a chainmail net that's dragged over the seabed to catch the scallops. So it's several tons of steel being towed at 3 to 4 knots across the seabed, and things like pink sea fans, which are erect fragile corals, won't withstand that.
Disco scallops have a pretty much zero impact approach. Placing a light source inside a cage or so-called pot under the water draws them in, and from a boat a fisher can pull them up. From the harbour of Lyme Regis, I headed out to sea with fisherman John Shuker and his son Sam, who, at 26, is at the start of his fishing career.
So what's happening?
Well, we've pulled the pot up, and now he's taking the scallops out of the pot, and there's a starfish in the pot. They actually eat the scallops. So he's taking the scallops out, putting them in the tray, and there's a light in the pot, and that attracts the scallops, and they go through there's an entrance there which has got like a one-way gate on it,
Currently, 150 UK fishers are using the disco scallop technology. In Sam's case, they've proved to be a lifeline. The waters around the south coast have been changing, he told me. The octopus population is increasing, and as they're predators, the number of lobsters, he says, being caught in the bay is decreasing.
I don't think I would be going if I didn't have this for this year. It's a bit apocalyptic right now, so I think it's definitely a saving grace to have these, just so I have something to really lean back on.
And there's more to this innovation than a light bulb and a pot. An important part of this approach is a new supply chain through which the disco scallops are being sold. Robert Enver.
Fishermen who were catching them in their pots needed a premium price, because as they're trying this new fishing method out, they might only be getting, 20, 40, 50, 100 scallops. And so they needed to get a high price for that. And if they didn't have a market or they landed it on their existing markets in a box or something on Brixton Market, then they would get a low price for that and they'd be disincentivized to carry on. So we knew a key part of this puzzle really was to create a premium label for the product and have buyers of that product.
And a necessary part of that supply chain are chefs and their restaurants. The chef, Mitch Tonks, has done more than most to celebrate British fish and fishers. Through his chain of 11 rockfish restaurants from Poole to Plymouth, he's sourcing from some of the smallest and most artisanal boats around our coast. And he's added disco scallops to the menu.
These are a premium product. We need to pay more for them. I mean, the fishermen are getting 2 and 3 times, depending on the time of the year, than they would for a dredged scallop. And that's recognising that there is a smaller catch. But actually, I think consumers want to eat food like that. I think there's naturally a certain element of people that, if you haven't explained the story properly and they look at sort of north of 20 quid for 3 scallops, they feel like that's an expensive proposition. But I think once people understand it, it's no problem. And to say that we sell every single scallop in the restaurant or through our online seafood market, anything that comes disco scallop wise gets sold. So I would say that's probably a lot more people prepared to pay for it and understand the issues.
Now, moving on to our next category of the evening, the Morning Live Best Street Food, Takeaway and Small Eatery category. And here to present the award is the man that you'll know from BBC One's Watchdog, as well as Morning Live and The One Show. It's Matt Allright.
How are we doing, Bristol? You can do better than that. How you doing, Bristol? There we go. I love Bristol. It's such a pleasure to be here.
For the best street food category, the finalists were Hoping York, a street kitchen serving food in the city to the homeless and others in need; Feast Pembrokeshire, who use ingredients mostly sourced in Pembrokeshire and barbecued in several traditional ways. But the winner was an airport cafe on the remote Scottish island of Barra, run by a charismatic chef called Shawnee Morrison. He offers food that is both delicious and local. Here's just a flavour.
With a variety of stuff, like one of our signature dishes is a smoked mackerel, roasted veg, a local sourdough, with pumpkin seed pesto. We do hand-dyed scallops, black pudding roll. What else have we put on? Local hake, we have hake goujons, a lot of specials. A lot of things like happen where sort of local farmers and such will drop in. There was an instance a few weeks ago where I was talking to a customer and a guy came in and he said, "Would you like to buy a pig?" And I said, "I'll take half a pig." And when he went, "Oh, it's in the back of the van." And it was all butchered, ready to go. So a lot of people drop these things in. So it's mostly based on local ingredients.
So, Barra Airport Cafe took gold, flying the flag for airport food. Shawnee received his award from Matt Allright.
I get the feeling you didn't see this coming.
No, I didn't at all. And to be honest, I'm kind of concentrating on not swearing.
Which is a big ask for you.
It is a big ask.
I've seen your social media.
Yeah.
It's every other word.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. It's Radio 4. Thank you, Shawnee. But, we came out to see you. We saw something incredibly special. But I think back to the moment where you made that decision from working on the mainland in, top-notch restaurants to go back to the place where you were from. What was that conversation like? What was the thought process like to go back to Barra and leave the mark that you are there right now?
I think it's got a lot to do with I was up the year before and there was nowhere to go for a coffee in the middle of the day, and there was just a lack of crack. And I spoke to one of my, as in the banter, not the rest. Okay, let's be clarified.
That's not your side hustle.
I did not. I brought crack to the island, but not in that sense.
No.
It's gone south for that. Okay. But yeah, there was a lack of, I just felt something was missing, and I went on to one of my good mates' mother. I visited him, and I said to her how I just felt like there wasn't much spark going on. She says, yeah, but our generation's done it. We're all retiring. It's your generation's turn to start doing things. And I thought, aye, it is. So, with that, we went home. We started it. You saw the kids that we're working with. You know, it's been a mad year. Sometimes you just got to go all in. I don't know, man. I'm a bit blown away.
Well, And that is one thing to say. If, like us, you do go camping in Barra, you will be blown away. But we saw that with the young guy that you had in your kitchen there, you know, that inspiration that you're giving him. Yeah, he might go away, but then he'd say, well, Shawnee came back. And he made a difference. So you're passing that thought on to the next generation, Shawnee. It's really powerful stuff, mate. Go and see Barra, please do, and go and check out the amazing food that Shawnee's putting on plates. Please give it up. Shawnee Morrison from Barra.
For the Best Digital Creator Award, the food programme presenter Layla Kazim and fellow judge Melissa Thompson shortlisted the film 6 Inches of Soil, as well as the content creator and social media coach Gavin Wren. But the prize went to the international environmental charity, the Gaia Foundation, which, in their words, envisages a new era in which humans are living in a respectful, just, and mutually enhancing relationship with the Earth, with all her life forms, and with each other. Their co-director is Rowan Phillimore.
Congratulations. I just love that you are in this space of digital social media, which is almost a little bit kind of the antithesis of what the Gaia Foundation is all about, and yet you manage to occupy it with real dignity and really effectively, I think. Can you just explain a little bit about how you feel and what you try to achieve with the stuff, these beautiful stuff that you do share on your socials?
The digital space cannot be, undervalued. It's, the way in which we can galvanise people around food and seed sovereignty is incredibly powerful in that space. Really, we're only as good as the stories that we're sharing, and we're so appreciative of that network. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And I mean, it's visually so engaging and captivating in what you do. And part of what you do is also bringing other people in, sort of artists and poets. Why is that?
Well, we actually make quite a concerted effort to work with artists. We really feel that's particularly important. I mean, everyone understands the value of art in shaping culture and mindsets, but obviously now more than ever with AI and things, we really want to work with artists and recognise that content that we can create that breaks across boundaries and silos and bubbles is richer for it, and we need to be speaking beyond our echo chambers. So it's really exciting to work with artists. Also, they're just such natural communicators, so we're like, wow, we should work with you guys who actually know how to stand on stage and speak. So
nice. It works. It really works.
You've done a brilliant job, and I just want to say, such worthy winners. Keep doing the amazing work that you do and getting those really special messages out. Congratulations again to the Gaia Foundation.
Well, as much as we'd like to tell you who the Countryfile Young Countryside Champion is, as chosen by Adam Henson, I'm afraid we're sworn to secrecy. All will be revealed on Countryfile this Sunday afternoon on BBC One. We can, though, reveal the winner of the Farming for the Future category, as awarded by Mally Harris from The Archers and Farming Today's Charlotte Smith.
Mally and I went to all of our 3 shortlisted businesses. The first one, Grazing Management Limited, a rather technical name for a fascinating thing. Basically, it's farming without a farm. They own animals and rent them out for conservation grazing. And the way they keep an eye on them is remotely. So they have a bolus, which they swallow, and that will give you information about how the animal itself is getting on. They have a collar so that they can either have a very loud noise or a small electric shock, which will keep them confined to the area you want to keep them in. And then they have volunteers who actually keep a physical eye on them. Really fascinating use of technology. Then we went to a family farm, the Free Company, just outside Edinburgh. Really interesting. The 2 brothers took on the family farm when it really wasn't doing very well. There was quite a lot of debt. They have reorganised it. They now have a restaurant at its heart, but they have loads and loads of other enterprises which feed into the restaurant or feed into the farm. And everything is done in a really thoughtful, regenerative, low-waste model. It was a really interesting way of running a family business. And then we went to see hemp, something which used to be very, very common here in the UK. Now not so much. Because of its relationship with cannabis, you actually have to get permission to grow hemp in the UK. And this guy, Hugh Wrangham at Hare Hope Farms, has done that. He's growing hemp on a really big scale to try and demonstrate to other farmers what a useful crop it is. It has very, very long roots, and so it really helps improve soil. And then you make from it hemp oil, hemp hearts, which you can eat, and high-protein hemp powder. Congratulations to all those brilliant people doing brilliant things. But our winners of the Farming Today and the Archers Farming for the Future Award are...
The Free Company.
Oh, it's incredible. Obviously, being here in the room amongst so many innovative, inspiring people who want to make change in the food and farming world, we're delighted just to be nominated, let alone one of the finalists, and to win it. We're over the moon, and the whole team back home will be as well. So thank you.
Brothers Charlie and Angus Buchanan Smith from the Free Company. Congratulations to them for turning round the family farm. Our penultimate award of the night was to celebrate the best drinks producers. Here, the 3 to make the final cut were Abbeydale Brewery in Sheffield, Yorkshire Wolds Apple Juice, and the English sparkling winemakers Nightimber. Take it away, Joe.
Now, if you're not already feeling in the mood to celebrate, our next award should help. Here to present Best Drinks Producer is brewing expert and Radio 4 food programme presenter, Jaga Wise, and restaurant critic, writer and broadcaster, Jimmy Famarewa.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here to celebrate the best of the UK's drinks producers. I love judging this category. Jimmy, what's exciting you about the UK drink scene right now?
I think for me, it's the variety and the resourcefulness that I see in the drinks kind of business. You've got amazing no and low options. You've got renaissances in the worlds of like cider and perry. You've got English sparkling wine doing brilliantly. There's so much to choose from and lots to be excited about.
And we've got lots to be excited about in the finalists.
Yes, I'm really excited to announce that the winner of the Best Drinks Producer 2025 is... Should we say it at the same time?
I think we should. Nightimber! Congratulations. What does winning an award like this mean to you?
I think it is true testament to the kind of the passion and all of the investment and motivation that's had to go into making English sparkling wine what it is. The fact that the industry has come so far in the past kind of 20 to 30 years, I think is just testament to all of the producers' great kind of passion and motivation and enthusiasm for making brilliant wines that can rival champagne. Should I say it?
Champagne. It's such an exciting time, as you say, but it feels like it's been this kind of building for a while. Like, what do you think it is at the moment that's really kind of crystallising all this excitement in English sparkling wine? What's sparking this interest?
I think it is the quality, obviously, and at Night Timber we're very passionate about all of our wines are made from 100% estate-owned fruit, so we don't buy in any grapes, we don't sell any, we age them for a lot longer than your standard champagnes would, so we're probably making quite a few sacrifices when it comes to what we're putting in versus what we're getting out from it. But all of the kind of expert reviews and what the critics are saying are really showing that we're up there with the champagnes, and like Gemma says, kind of beating them. So slowly we're kind of getting that recognition beyond the UK, and internationally people are starting to take notice as well, which is really exciting.
Well, you've now got a BBC Food Award. Congratulations. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the team at Night Timber.
Congratulations, guys.
Rachel Parks and Gemma Butterell from Night Timber, exiting stage right.
The Derek Cooper Outstanding Achievement Award was created to honour the first presenter of Radio 4's The Food Programme.
I first came across the work of this year's recipient when I was living in New York and made my switch into food journalism. It was the early 1980s, and I came across a book, Future Food, Politics, Philosophy and Recipes for the 21st Century. It was an inspirational book with recipes that I cooked for my young son, who is now 43, with ideas that led me on the path toward the food programme. Ideas that actually read as fresh now as they did then. I would recommend to you all you read his chapter on beans. It's of the moment.
Beans are seriously happening. Our recipient went on to write many more books, almost 20, including the amazing So Shall We Reap and Feeding People is Easy, adding up to a body of work that's led to him being understood as one of the most influential thinkers on food, farming, people, and our relationship with nature and the planet.
His writing and broadcasting has been wide-ranging and ambitious. Big ideas are what he's good at. Enlightened agriculture is one of them. His grassroots strategy setting out how it's possible to feed everyone in the world with good food without trashing the planet.
One of his very best and most influential big ideas was seeded in 2010 when, along with campaigner Graham Harvey, he co-founded the Oxford Real Farming Conference, an annual event set up to rival the more establishment Oxford Farming Conference. Over the past 15 years, it's been a platform for the most radical, imaginative and practical ideas needed to reshape the food system.
None of which would have been possible without the person who has worked with him throughout. A co-founder of the Oxford Real Farming Conference, a woman who's been instrumental in turning a national event into something truly international. In 2010, it was a modest affair. Now it's sold out. It takes over a great swathe of central Oxford, and delegates and speakers come from all over the world. That happened under her guidance, and she also happens to be his wife.
And that is why we'd like to welcome up onto the stage to accept this year's Derek Cooper Award the biologist, campaigner and writer Colin Tudge, and of course, Ruth West.
Ruth and Colin, I don't know which of you wants to answer this, but the Oxford Real Farming Conference is now, as Hugh just said, an international event. But did it seem, 15 years ago, that seemed unlikely? Did you foresee what it might become?
I think the short answer is no, actually. And the person who really thought of the idea was actually Graham Harvey. But I actually thought when we started it that it was a one-off, and I thought we'll do this and then we'll go home. There were 80 farmers and other campaigning type people packed into a small library in Oxford, and it snowed and everybody had to go home because otherwise they'd have got snowed in. Graham Harvey did get snowed in. He stayed there for 3 days. I think he needed to. But anyway, so we didn't. And it was really Ruth who carried it forward, had the sort of stamina and to see that it should grow, and now it is as it is. I'll let Ruth.
Ruth, perhaps you can answer a slightly different question. Where is your hope? Do you still feel optimistic that we can crack the big problems of the day in food and farming?
There's no alternative, is there, actually? And there's the phrase, and it's hope is a practice, basically. Despair is a luxury. I can't remember who said that now, but anyway. No, yes, but we've got hope because of the people who come, actually, and that's the inspiration. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And the whole thing is that and what's made it so successful, I think, is that we haven't been doing it. We just said, look, this is a space, come and say what has to be said. And that's why it's growing.
Well, a lot of things have been said that had to be said, and it is, in the end, down to your amazing work. It's fantastic to be on the stage with you this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you both very, 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 very much.
Hugh, you've never been.
I promise I'll come this year.
Yay, next year.
It's always at the beginning of January and I'm on holiday.
Well, that, as they say, is a wrap. The end of the BBC Food and Farming Awards 2025. Thank you for joining us to celebrate our winners and finalists. They show just how important and transformative their work is across the country. I wish the whole cabinet, Westminster, could be here. Thanks to all of you who sent in nominations and told us why these finalists are making a difference to your lives and deserve celebration. These awards would not exist without you, so thank you. But before we go, a word about next year. With your backing, we want these annual awards to go from strength to strength. So we're delighted to announce that the BBC Food and Farming Awards 2026 will take place in Belfast. So, from all of us at the BBC, the judges, and especially from the food programme team, thank you. Good night, and see you in Belfast.